Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gillian Berry, and today we have an awesome video in store for you guys. We have Ted Carr with us. He is incredible. He is a 10 plus year fruitarian. I am so excited to interview Ted. We're going to talk about a lot of amazing things around diet, his personal life, anything he will open up to us about. So I'm really excited to get into this. Let's get started. Hey Ted, how's it going?
Personal life. I didn't know that was on the agenda. Let's go for it. Whatever.
What's going
it's,
on?
it's yeah, I'm just going for my walk right now. You caught me in the middle of my walk.
Yeah, that's great. So that's cool. You're on the treadmill, obviously.
Yeah, it's a game changer. I used to sit like most people, like 12 hours a day on the computer, and now I walk like 12 hours a day. So
Wow,
it's a game changer.
that's
Yeah,
incredible.
it's a slow pace, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah, but I've heard like naturally we're supposed to be walking like I heard I forget how much people say like 5 to 7 hours a day or something. So I think that's pretty awesome. You do that. Wow, good for you.
Yeah, anyone can do it. It's got to get one. It's like they're like $500. A little walking
Wow.
treadmill. I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Well, maybe we start out with I also have some viewer questions for you, which I will save for the end. My viewers have so many good questions for you, but I would love to start out with maybe what's your daily routine right now? Like what are you eating? What are you doing in a day?
Cool. I just built a sauna, so I've been geeking out in the sauna. I have like 3 saunas a day now. I just built it a couple days ago. I'm sure the honeymoon effect will wear off, and I'll only use it once a day or something in the future. But right now, I'm sauning like 3 times a day. But I usually get up pretty early, like between whenever my body wants to wake up. It's generally between 4 and 6 a.m. And I'll go to bed around 6:30, 7:30, 8:30 at the latest. So I go to bed early, wake up early, and then I try not to go on the internet first thing in the morning. That's part of my routine. I try and put the internet off till like now, like 9 or 10, and then just have that morning space of like no consumption, no internet, no internet addiction fixing there. So some writing, some reading, audiobook, stretching, working out. That's like my morning routine, getting my mindset in a good state of mind. And then I get to work. I work from like 9, 10 a.m. to about 1 p.m. My brain starts to fatigue. So I take a nap or I go in the float tank and I recharge my brain. And then I work again from like 3 to 6 p.m. And then by that point, I'm done eating dinner and I go to bed pretty early.
That's cool. And I saw your infrared sauna on your Instagram. I think that's awesome. I did the first like my first session with that about 2 months ago, and it was incredible. So like in your opinion, what are some of the benefits of an infrared sauna?
There's so many. It's kind of like what are the benefits of fruitarian diet, right? There's so many. One of the benefits I found is that like I live here in Canada like you, and it's like it's just always cold out. And I could have my heat cranked in my house, but I mean, I'd rather just go in a nice sauna and sweat and feel really good in there. So just the warmth factor is really nice, but apparently it helps you burn body fat. I don't know if I believe that or not, but I've definitely dropped some weight since I got it. I mean, like I said, sauning 3 times a day. Could just be water weight, but I doubt it because I'm pretty hydrated. So apparently fat loss is one, and then apparently longevity is another one, and then apparently immune system boosting is another one. So there's like a holistic approach. I mean, I think in health, if something benefits you in one way, it's going to benefit you in like all the ways. Like you'll get better sleep, you'll have a better mood, you'll have better sex life, you'll have better freaking everything will be better. Like that's just how health works. It's holistic, right? So,
and so you said, so you're living in Canada. You're in BC,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you never left Canada, did you? I was wondering because I remember watching your video when you left Canada, and then I was like, no, I stayed here too. I was considering leaving too, but I stayed. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I was considering leaving, but I've built such a palace here. Like my life is so good here. My castle is freaking amazing. I love it. Like I said, the sauna, the float tank, the gym, everything about my environment is like my walking treadmill. Everything's optimized. And I love my palace, so I really didn't want to give that up just out of what might happen, And my conclusion was like, if I leave Canada, I might regret it. If I stay in Canada, I might regret it. So either way, I might regret it. I might as well stay. That's how I boiled it down.
And there's some positives. It's not too bad, and it is really nice out there where you are. The nature is just beautiful. Yeah. Well, I would love to hear a bit of a background. Some of my viewers were asking too about what first led you to the fruitarian diet for people watching who don't know, or the raw vegan diet. Did you first start out fruitarian or raw? Like, was it health problems that led you there?
I think a lot of people, I had health problems that I wasn't aware of. And I didn't really know they were health problems until like they started to go away. Like once you start like pooping like 3 times a day, you're like, oh, I was constipated. Once you like stop feeling anger, you're like, oh, I had mood issues, you know? But like people who are just always angry or always constipated, they don't really know. A lot of them don't know that they have mood issues or constipation because that's just like how they are all the time. They've been that way their whole life. So I think that's the case with a lot of people. Like when they go fruitarian or raw vegan or even vegan, they start to feel way better. They don't realize how shitty they felt before. They're like, wow, I had chronic fatigue. Wow, I was depressed because now I'm happy all the time. So therefore I must have been like on the verge of freaking depression the whole time, like most people are. Now I'm super mentally clear. Therefore, before I must have been mentally fogged. But when you're in that fog for so long, you don't really realize it. So yeah, I cleared up a lot of health issues without even really realizing it until afterwards. But the main thing that led me to go raw vegan fruitarian was I really wanted to clear my acne. I had terrible acne on my face, chest, and back. I thought I was never going to get rid of it because I tried so many things to get rid of it. Every pill, potion, lotion, cream, you name it. I tried it. And nothing worked. And I was getting really frustrated with these companies. I'm like, how are they selling these $50 potions and lotions and creams I'm putting on and they're doing nothing? Like, how can they say it's going to get rid of acne when it doesn't? Like, they're lying to me. Stop lying to me. I was getting pissed.
Yeah.
And then I did more research and I found that the body actually heals itself. It's nothing external. That was a huge insight for me. Nothing external is going to, that I put on my zits are going to make them go away because the zits are coming from within. They're being formed from within. So I need to go within and fix what's going on there. So that's when I learned that, oh, there's actually a connection between diet and my skin. So I cut out dairy and it was like, boom, inflammation totally cleared up. Still had acne, but the inflammation was, gone. Then I cut out gluten and then the zits, they stopped becoming like red zits and they just were like little white zits, but I still had acne. But getting rid of gluten, getting rid of dairy, instantly I noticed an effect within like a matter of days. Then I'm like, okay, well, what happens if I, go raw vegan? That's got to get rid of it completely, right? So I go raw vegan and it actually gets worse. I was like, what? How's it get worse? It turns out because eating all fat, it was like all nuts and seeds, all olives, avocados, oils, just like super high fat crap. So that didn't work at all. I felt disgusting eating that way as well. So then I would go fruitarian. I cut out all the fats and I go pure fruit, like mangoes, papayas, bananas. And within 2 weeks, my acne completely cleared up.
Wow.
Cleared up so fast that I was in Hawaii and I go in the hotel bathroom and I look in the back to check out my acne and it's gone. I'm like, where? I didn't even have a chance to say goodbye.
Wow. Amazing. You must have been shocked. I used to struggle with the same thing on my back too. It just makes you feel like crap. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
And I think so many people don't realize how diet affects their skin.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I even now to this day, whenever I see like a young kid with acne, I want to go up to him and be like, dude, you don't need to have this acne. I guarantee if you cut out dairy and gluten and high fatty foods, that acne is gone.
Yeah.
Especially if you go on fruit for a couple of weeks, guaranteed that's gone.
Yeah. And when you first discovered the raw vegan path or the fruitarian path, was there did you see something or read a book, like somebody really inspired you? Have there been people along the way that really inspired your journey?
Oh yeah. I think it's 80-10-10 book. At the start of it, there's like 30 pages or so of just like a bunch of testimonials of people who've experienced great results eating a raw vegan diet. And so I remember just reading these testimonials. It was either that book, 80-10-10 diet, or this other book called The Live Food Factor. Really great book. It's a really thick, big green one. That book is full of testimonials too. And I remember reading these testimonials when I was first getting into it. And that was my favorite part of the book. Even still to this day, my favorite thing to read, people ask me to like fiction or nonfiction. I like to read testimonials. I love like Amazon testimonials and reviews. I just love people's experiences. Tell me like your subjective experience. I love hearing that. So even back then I was like, I want to be one of these success stories. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be that person who completely changed their life because of this diet. And I think because I read so many of them, I believed in them so much that it ended up happening for me. I
Mm-hmm.
became one of those testimonials in those books.
That's incredible. And when you first went raw and you first got more health conscious, were the people around you, your friends and family, were they health conscious too, or were they supportive of the lifestyle?
I had this one experience. I was at the gym. I was doing bench press at the gym, and you're supposed to have a friend like spotting you lifting the weight. So I had my friend Dylan there at the gym. Shout out Dylan. And mid set, he's supposed to like help me lift the weight, and then someone comes over to him and my friend Nate, and he's like, "Dude, you know Ted's vegetarian now, right?" And Dylan's like, "What? You're vegetarian?" And he just like walked away, and I had to like lift the weight myself. Like, dude.
What?
So like I had very unsupportive friends. They all thought it was super weird. I mean, they probably still do. But my mom and sister slowly caught on. At first, my mom was super worried about me. She was printing off all these articles saying I'm gonna freaking die and I'm gonna be malnourished and all this stuff. And my sister was still eating crap. And then I would go to the library and I would strategically leave books out around the house, like where I know she'd be sitting, open to the pages with chapters talking about issues that I knew she had. So she always had like plugged ears. And so I remember getting this book talking about cutting out dairy gets rid of plugged ears. And I left that right where she sits for breakfast every morning. And so sure enough, she sits down breakfast, reads it, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm going to cut out dairy." And it just went from there.
Wow, that's incredible. So you've inspired the people around you as well.
I guess so.
Yeah. And have you so are you fully fruitarian right now? Or do you ever
No.
eat greens or anything?
Yesterday was 100% fruitarian. I do some days fully fruitarian now.
Mhm.
And I do feel my best on fully fruitarian. But I do add in occasional cooked foods as well. But very clean cooked foods. And at least 50% of my calories are coming from fruit. Like
Mhm.
I generally eat about 2,000 calories a day, and at least 1,200 calories is coming from fruit, because I have a 1,200 calorie smoothie every morning, because I
Mhm.
know it's like 1.75 kilograms of mangoes. I just dump the whole bag in the blender and it's like 1,200 calories. So that's a consistent. So 800 calories max from cooked food, but it's not even that. That would be way too much cooked food for me. It's
Mhm.
generally like I'll have some avocado, some guacamole in the evening, and I'll dip some cooked food in there, like some sprouted tofu or something, or I'll use the guacamole on top of like some rice or something. Um, so maybe 400 calories of cooked food and then 400
Mhm.
calories of the guacamole.
And do you feel better when you eat fully raw versus
Oh
if you
yeah,
eat some cooked?
100%, 100%. Like it's night and day. It's night and day. I feel more energetic and clearer minded with less sleep.
Mhm.
That part
Mhm.
doesn't make sense. Like you'd think to have more clear minded and more energy, you need more sleep. But on raw, I can get less sleep and be clear minded, and everything works better on raw for sure.
Mhm.
It's
And do you
just
feel more sorry, go ahead.
it's just the addiction of the cooked food.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you feel more dehydrated if you eat cooked food? I know if I eat cooked food,
I
like it makes me
only
so
drink
thirsty.
water. I
Yeah.
only drink water when I'm like, you'll know when Ted's eating cooked food when you see him drinking water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if I don't drink water, it's because I don't need to. I'm eating fruit. Why would I drink
Mhm.
water?
Yeah, it
So
just naturally hydrates you.
yeah, I mean, now that I'm doing the sauna a lot though, I think I'll probably naturally be having more water. So if you guys see me
Mhm.
drinking water and I say I'm raw, it's probably because of the sauna now, because I'm sweating a lot.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So what are you currently eating in a day?
Like I just said, I'll do mango smoothie, 1,200
Yeah.
calories, and
Yeah,
then sprouted tofu, which is like
that's right.
400 calories, and guacamole, another 400 calories. That's
Yeah.
generally a day. And I like to keep it pretty much the same.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm just wondering, do you supplement or no?
I take some supplements. Yeah, I take them because I don't think they hurt. Like
Yeah.
I take some. I'm not super anal about them though. Like if I've been out of B12 for like a couple months now, but B12 would probably be a good one. Vitamin D3 I take almost every day. I think
Hmm.
vitamin D3 is pretty important for Canadians. Um, so D3 and B12, and then I like quote unquote supplement with like other things like Daily Green Boost, which is like barley grass juice powder, or like cordyceps mushrooms, which is like medicinal mushroom,
Hmm.
things like that. But generally, no, I don't really supplement too much. I mean, I was gone in and out of using ashwagandha quite a bit,
Hmm.
but then I recently found out ashwagandha is a nightshade.
Oh, wow.
I want to get rid of all nightshades. So
Yeah.
I cut out ashwagandha, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just wondering, with being fully raw for you, I know a lot of people struggle with that, like always feeling hungry. Is that something you've dealt with over the years? And are there ways that you've sort of got around that?
Yeah, when I first went raw, that was my biggest issue. Well, when I first tried to go raw, that was my biggest issue. I'd be raw all day, and then dinner time came, and I was like, I'm freaking hungry. I need to actually eat some real food. So I eat like the big bowl of like grains or whatever, and it was like that for like a week or so. And I'm like, I gotta somehow make it through dinner raw. I just can't seem to do it. And so what I realized was that when I counted my calories, that the reason I got hungry around dinner time was because I'd only had like 600 calories throughout the day. So of course I'm ravenous. So I'm like, one day I tried it. I'm like, okay, well today I'm just gonna have 2,000 calories of raw, and we'll see if I'm still hungry at dinner for cooked food. So I had 2,000 calories of raw. I'm not hungry at all for cooked food. It's that simple. It's as simple as adding in a few more bananas and dates to a blender. Like
Yeah.
it's just the calories. Whoever is hungry needs more calories, pure and simple.
Absolutely. And I know with weight, that's another thing a lot of people struggle with. I know I hear a lot of people on my channel say they have problems with losing too much weight, or other people also say they gain too much weight on raw, which surprises me, but it does happen. And have you dealt with either of those things, or do you have any tips for anyone who is dealing with that?
100%. Yeah. So when I first went raw, I got a picture of me at Burning Man, and I was 125 pounds. I remember being 125 pounds, and I'm like 5'9.5", close to 5'10". Being 125 is pretty skinny. Felt good though. Felt cool being nice and light. Like you feel like Gandhi, you know, just floating. It's nice, but no real strength. So yeah, I definitely know what it's like to lose weight. And I remember at one point I tried my best to gain as much weight as I could. I was like, I'm just going to eat so many avocados and bananas and gain a bunch of weight. So I did. I gained a bunch of weight on raw. It's all fat though. Like when you gain weight quickly, it's always going to be all fat unless you're taking steroids or something. But if you gain weight quickly, it's always going to be fat. So I got super fat on fruit. My highest was 174. People say you can't get fat on fruit. You definitely can, but it's a struggle. Getting fat on cooked food is easy. Getting fat on fruit is very difficult, but you can make it a lot easier if you just add in a bunch of avocados. That's the ultimate hack. So yeah, if you want to gain weight, just eat more. And if you want to weigh less, just focus on juicy fruits. Nobody gains weight on watermelon. Show me one person who's done 10 days on watermelon and gains weight. Everybody loses it 100% of the time. Show me one person who's gained weight on oranges. I mean, if you're starting from an anorexic point of view, or maybe not anorexic, but if you're starting from like you just finished a water fast or something, then sure, you're going to gain some weight. But if you're like, relatively quote unquote normal weight, and you do 10 days on oranges or 10 days on watermelon or 10 days on juicy fruit, you're going to lose weight. I don't know anyone who's gained weight on juicy fruit.
True. Very true. And what about cleanses? What are your views on cleanses? Do you ever do like juice cleanses, water fasting? I'm not sure if I've seen your videos on that, or if you have, or like mono fruit cleanses.
I've done them all. I've done dry fasting, water fasting, juice cleansing. I think they're cool. I think they can be cool. Like I like to experiment and do some fun stuff like that every now and then. But they're short. Like I did like a 3-day dry fast. That was plenty. And I do a few 3-day water fasts throughout the year. I've done a couple, did one recently, and I did one like 6 months ago. Awesome. Great experience. I love the short ones. I personally never did a long one before. I think my longest is like 8 days or something, but
That's
never
still
done
a long time for a water fast.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure you know lots of people who've done 21 days, 30 days, 40 days, right? So I'm not interested in doing that. I don't think those are necessary. Do I think cleanses are necessary? I think if you just eat a clean diet, that's probably good enough for most people. But if you have a serious health condition, then again, the body's going to heal itself. So when you say cleanse, to me, that means just eating appropriate food and letting the body do its thing. I think a lot of people think like, I'm going to eat this broccoli because it's going to scrub my intestines and do it for me. The food doesn't do shit for you. The body's going to do everything. The food can get in the way. It's kind of like, it's kind of like politicians. Politicians get in the way of things. They slow things down of how things should be. Food's kind of like that. It just gets in the way. So if you're eating good, clean food, then you don't really need to cleanse. But
Yeah.
I also don't think there's nothing wrong with a short water fast, 2-3 day fast when the body asks for it. That's key. Listening to the body. When does the body ask for it? Like if you're sick, the amount of people I see who are like, oh, I'm sick, I got a sore throat, I will drink this juice or I will make this soup. And I'm like, if you got a sore throat and your appetite's gone, have nothing, maybe some water. But that's it. Just let the body heal. And people are so conditioned to feed themselves when they're sick. Like I was in Panama one time, and I had a maid, and a bird came and hit the window and like fell on the ground, was like stunned. The bird couldn't flap its wings, it was just stunned. And the maid came over and had a little piece of bread and was trying to stick the bread in the bird's mouth. I'm like, what are you doing? This bird's on the verge of death. You're trying to feed it? Like that's just her instinct of like, not instinct, but her conditioning of like feed the sick.
It's like when animals are sick, it's their natural instinct not to eat. I think you're so right. People are so disconnected, and when you're sick, like the best thing to do is not to eat and let the body put the energy towards repairing.
I've been on the verge of being sick a few times, and this one time was very profound. This is when I was first like experimenting with this a couple of years ago. So on the verge of being sick, and so I decided I'm gonna fast all day. So I fasted all day. By 6 p.m., I'm like, wow, I feel amazing, 100%. This is great. I'm gonna have dinner. So I had dinner. Woke up next morning, back to sickness. Like, oh crap, I'm on the verge of being sick again. Like feel a bit run down. I'm like, I know I'm on that tipping point. You know the tipping point you get to when you're like about to get sick? I was there again. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna fast again. This time I'll do it properly. So I fasted all day. 6 p.m. comes. I'm like, wow, I did it. I feel great again. I might as well have some dinner. So I had dinner. Next morning, boom, back to being on the verge of being sick. I'm like, this is crazy. This time I'm gonna go all day and all night. So I went all day and all night. Next morning I wake up, bing, I'm feeling amazing. I eat food. I'm amazing. I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
I had to let myself go through the full day and the full night. And to me, like if I'm ever on the verge of being sick, which is super rare, I just do that and it's gone. It's that simple. And I think so many people, they're afraid of like losing their gains in the gym or something, or they're afraid of like starving to death or something. It's like, would you rather be sick for 5 days or like kind of hungry for 36 hours? Your choice.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. People can save so much time, like you said, of getting rid of the sickness sooner if they do that. Yeah. I'm just wondering too, back on cleanses, have you ever done a Parasite cleanse or no? Or have you ever you know?
No, my friend Sheila from Food Over Drugs sent me like a little Parasite cleanse kit. I took it for fun, but no, I personally don't. I know some people, they're strong believers in parasites. They're going to think I'm crazy for saying that what I'm about to say, but I personally don't believe, and I know people are going to say everybody has parasites, but I don't believe I have parasites. And I think because of that belief, I'm not affected by them, even if they are there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think everybody has them. I think a lot of people do, but I don't think everybody does.
Right.
I think you're right. I did a parasite cleanse. Well, it wasn't intentionally, but I started doing enemas a few years ago and I saw a lot of parasites and I was like, this is disgusting. What the hell is going on? Oh my God. And I got so creeped out for a while, but then I got over it and I did a deep cleanse. I haven't seen any in so long. I don't know if I still have them. Have you done enemas or colonics? Are you into that or no?
Yeah. I've done one colonic, but it was no pun intended. It was a pain in the ass. I'd rather just do enemas. So I do enemas occasionally. And, yeah, I think enemas can be beneficial when done right. But I also don't like the idea of coffee enemas, caffeine and me. It's just we don't really gel well. But I know, hey, like people get results. There are people out there who do coffee enemas daily and they love them and they look great and they feel great. Kudos to them. Other people, I mean, caffeine's a drug, right? And so drugs affect everyone differently. So like when some people drink alcohol, they get angry. Other people drink alcohol, they get really quiet. So drugs definitely affect everyone differently. And caffeine's no different. Some people it makes them very focused. Other people it makes them very anxious, can't sleep. So for me, caffeine doesn't work well with me.
And prior to going raw, did you indulge in a lot of drugs or alcohol or no? Yeah. Like most people.
And I don't regret doing the drugs. I just regret doing so many of them for so long. Like like when you do drugs, drugs is such a harsh word. When you do take certain substances like ceremoniously, you can get downloads of messages, which you can then integrate. Most people don't integrate the message. Like, wow, I just learned that, I should love everyone more. And then they go back to being a dick, and then they forget about that. Like, but what about loving everyone more? Yeah, but so-and-so said this. And so like they forget the message. And so they go back and get high again. They keep getting high and they just don't integrate what they've learned. So I'm not against taking substances. I just think that if you are going to do them, then using them periodically is probably the best approach, and to integrate the messages that you learn. And hopefully you do them to learn. You don't just do them to get effed up. You do them to actually learn something profound. And I don't think you need to do drugs to learn something either. I think you can just read books and talk to people, live life and learn that way too. I just think, I know I've learned a lot from those substances and they've made me who I am today. So very grateful for them.
Absolutely. And if you hadn't become more health conscious and gone raw, where do you think your life would be right now?
Oh God. I would definitely be working a 9 to 5. Like definitely. I'd definitely be working 9 to 5. I would think vegans and vegetarians are losers. I'd be constipated. I'd probably have kids. Not to say kids are bad. I think kids are awesome. I still might want kids, but I'd probably have kids. I'd probably have a family. I'd want to conform. I'd want to just conform, be like everyone else. I'd probably have my own house. Like because right now I'm renting. I think renting's awesome. It's just low responsibility, but I think I'd have a house. I think I'd have 2 kids and a wife and a job, and I'd probably be overweight. I mean, yeah, that was the trajectory I was on. That's like all my friends from high school now are like that. I just described every friend from high school, and I was like them. So I mean, that's like my best prediction is I would continue to be like my friends. I was like them all throughout high school, and it was veganism that got me on a different path. Going vegan was the first decision I ever made for myself. Every other decision, it was, well, that's just what everyone does. You just do that. That's what my parents told me to do, or my friends told me to do, or society told me to do. But going vegan was the first decision I ever made for me. And as a result, it completely put me on a different path, different trajectory to now being where I am here today. And I think a lot of people, they don't make those big decisions very often. And I don't think I will continue to make big decisions like that very often. I think going vegan was one of, if not going to be the biggest decision I've ever made for myself. There could be something else, but as far as right now, I'm 31 years old. That's been by far the biggest decision I ever made. Going raw just like took it up a level, but veganism got me off the mainstream path for sure. Now it's thankfully becoming more mainstream, so it might not be that crazy for people to make that decision in the future, but for me, it was.
Yeah. And talking about that 9 to 5, before we get into the viewers' questions. So fortunately, you're not doing that 9 to 5 life and you're thriving and you're an entrepreneur. I see you as a very successful business person and you love what you do. And I mean, I wish everybody in the world could love what they do, find their purpose. Were you, I guess before you went raw, you didn't feel in alignment with your purpose, right? And you sort of found that like through the health journey?
Yeah, I've always known I liked helping people. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. Like they just love helping people. They just don't know how to monetize that. That was my issue for the longest time. And I didn't like the idea of going to school for 5-6 years to become a teacher and then teaching the school system. And I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be someone who helps people, but not in like the mainstream way. And how do you do that? Where's the path that's been laid out to show you how to do that? There isn't really a clear-cut path. The internet makes it possible to make that happen, but there's no clear-cut path. There's so much conflicting information, right? Kind of like diet. So like anyone who's going to figure it out, I had to figure it out for myself. Thankfully, I had some good mentors along the way. They just told me, here's exactly what to do. Do this and you'll be successful. And so I did what they said and I was successful. But a lot of people, I truly believe a lot of people are not cut out to be entrepreneurs. I think some people are just cut out to be 9 to 5 employees. They'd rather have the safety of a 2-week paycheck than the freedom that comes from taking the risk of something maybe not working, you know?
I think because of the fear too, they get fearful, you know? Yeah. What if it doesn't work? Or what if, you know, people are in so
Yeah.
much fear, I feel like, you know?
Yeah. So I think, the best option too, before we move on, is like, if someone isn't a 9 to 5, they are in a 9 to 5 right now and they do want to start making money online, I don't think they need to quit the 9 to 5. I think they can just start making some sales online. And once the sales online get to a high enough level, then they can go full time online. But
And what do you think? What do you think if someone's really unhappy with what they're doing and they're like, I feel disconnected. I don't know what my purpose is. How do you think they can? I think I saw you post something in your story this morning, which I loved, kind of about that. So what would you say to somebody who's feeling lost, like they know there's more to life and they hate their job but they don't know what their purpose is? Where do you think that they can start?
The advice I'm about to give works every time, but 99% of the people who hear it are not gonna want to do what I'm about to suggest, which is to do a dopamine fast. It's to quit the internet, just quit the phone, quit your friends, quit masturbating, quit food for like a few days, 3, 4, 5 days, pick an amount of time, and just do a dopamine fast. No input. The only input is like water. And the only thing you're supposed to do for those days is just take pen to paper and just brainstorm all your ideas. So you do nothing else but brainstorm, pen and paper, and brainstorm all your different ideas. We all have the answers within us. We're all geniuses. We all have the answers within us. Look at the thing, but look at the picture behind you. Mm-hmm. Right? What's the main message there? It's like, go within. You have the answer. You're a genius. You will figure it out. The truth is within you. So if people aren't clear what to do, they need to stop distracting themselves by looking outside. Looking for the answer outside is a distraction. They may say, oh no, I'm researching. Oh no, I'm trying to find inspiration. That's BS. The answer is within. You know what you need to do. You know what you want to do. You just don't want to face it. You know, a lot of people, they know what they really want to do, but because it might not work, there must be another path. Something that I kind of sort of maybe want to do that will for sure work. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. You have to do what you really want to do. And the thing that you really want to do usually feels like it's probably not going to work, but it will work because you really want to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like raising children. If you have a kid, when you first have a kid, you have a kid, right?
Mm-hmm. I have 2 kids. Yeah.
2 kids. When you first had your firstborn, maybe you felt like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. Like raising a child. Maybe when you first got pregnant, you're like, I don't know if I can have a kid.
Yeah, I still think that sometimes. What am I doing? No.
What are you doing? I feel that about my business too. What am I doing? I should just go get a job. What am I doing? You're like, I have to raise this child. So you figure it out because you want to. It's what you want. You know? So
good point.
It's that's how you make dreams come true. You just go for them.
And I love how you talk about, I'm a big believer in when you're feeling down, you're feeling sad, you go be of service or add value to somebody else. So I love when you talk about that too. I think that's a big thing for people when they are just in a depression or a funk and, you know.
Yeah. Helping others.
Absolutely. Well, talking about the masturbating thing, I'm just curious. So that's called Nofap, right? Is that what people call that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that applies to men and women, right? Is that something you don't ever do? I don't know if it's Jim Rohn. I don't know who it was that used to talk about not doing that. You can transmute that energy
Napoleon Hill has a chapter in Thinking
Oh, that's who it was. That's right. So is that where you first heard about that? And is that something you still practice? And do you find it effective?
When I first heard about, that's not what I heard about. When I did first hear about it, I thought it was the stupidest thing I've ever heard. In fact, my friend Derek was over, and High Carb Hannah's husband, he's at my house. He was living there for almost a year, and he's like just moved in to live with me, and me and some friends over, and he told me about Nofap, about how I should stop masturbating, and I wanted to kick him out of the house. I was like, bro, get the F out of here, man. That is like that's the gayest shit I've ever heard. Why would I not masturbate? Why would I not orgasm? It's like part of my manlyhood, you know? And I remember feeling very upset and triggered and angry with that. And then a guy came over, like, I don't know, a few weeks later or something, one of my customers, because I was running a fruit co-op at the time. And he handed me this book about how to have like multiple orgasms. And I'm like, there we go, multiple orgasm. That's what I'm into. And that book was all about basically like, don't masturbate and don't let your seed go. And I'm like, whoa, that's kind of what Derek had said, but this guy like put it in a different way. Right? The book is talking about something kind of different, but the same process, just don't masturbate. And so because it was from that book, it came from this guy I actually respected. I actually looked into it a bit more, did more research. And then I went down this massive rabbit hole, and there's like websites now where talking about like 1,000 different benefits of Nofap.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's 1,000 benefits of doing something, you're kind of crazy not to at least try it.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried it, and I failed. It's a very difficult thing to succeed with when you're first getting started, especially at that age, early 20s, late teens or something. So I tried and failed. And I think just like, I like a challenge. Challenges are really fun for me. So it's always been a challenge. It still is a challenge, but yeah, it's something I still practice to this day.
Wow. Interesting.
And the basic benefit, the basic premise is, it's so obvious when I say it, is like, you think about the most pleasurable thing you could possibly experience. One of the most pleasurable things you could possibly experience is an orgasm. Okay. So there's something called contrast. And when something feels really, really, really good, well, now everything else in contrast to that isn't going to feel as good. No, that's why, like, when you're having, when you're kind of warm and someone puts cold water on you, it's freezing. Oh my God, it's freezing. But when you just climb out of a cold lake and then it starts raining, you don't even feel the rain. The rain feels warm, right? That contrast.
Yeah.
So your experience of life is actually just based on contrast. Like, you might think, oh, wow, Ted, you're walking a lot. That must be very exhausting. Well, in contrast to you sitting, yeah. But if I just ran, walking is easy. So if I don't orgasm and I don't feel that crazy, like, oh my God, this is freaking amazing, then little things throughout the day can feel amazing. Little conversation like this can feel amazing.
Exactly.
So, and that doesn't mean no sex. It just means don't release the seed. So there's a big distinction, a big difference there.
And talking about sex, do you have a girlfriend right now? And I'm curious, do you only date vegans, or would you date somebody who's not vegan?
I'll answer that question first. I don't know. I would think I would only date a vegan. I would think that. But love is so powerful that if I was to meet someone and fall head over heels in love with them, then them being vegan would be irrelevant. But I can't see that happening, but it could. I'm open to it, but it's highly doubtful. Like, it's such a turnoff. It is such a turnoff to see someone eat meat. Such a turnoff. My ex, who I love dearly and still love, she now eats meat. And to me, it's just a huge turnoff. Like, I couldn't be with her if she's eating meat. I understand why she's doing it, but I couldn't be with her with that. And the opposite is true too. When someone is, if a girl's eating a vegan diet or even raw vegan fruitarian, it's such a turn on. So attractive. There's nothing more attractive than when it comes to diet than a girl eating fresh fruit. It's like the sexiest food ever. I think it's the case even if you're not fruitarian. It's just a sexy thing to see someone eating fruit. You know, juicy mango, juicy papaya dripping. It's like, God damn. It's like, that's it. So I think, yeah, I don't think I could be with someone, but who knows? Because the power of love knows no limits, knows no boundaries, right? As for, do I have a girlfriend? No, I've been in open relationships for many years. So I've never like officially had a girlfriend. I'll say like, oh, this is my ex, this is my ex, this is my ex, because we're no longer together. But at the same time, even if I were to have a girlfriend right now, it's hard to call her a girlfriend. I kind of just call her my friend. So I've introduced many of my girlfriends as friends. Like, oh, this is my friend so-and-so.
And do you think you'd ever maybe like fall so much in love with somebody that you would only want to be with that one girl? Or do you think you'll always like the idea of the open relationships?
I think there's another, yeah, I think I'd fall in love. I could fall in love with someone and only want to be with that one person for a while. before then, you know, opening up the relationship and allowing us to experience whoever else if we want. To me, this is very personal, and a lot of people are going to disagree, but to me, I think it's silly to say, I love you and therefore I can't love someone else. Like, you have 2 kids. You love them both.
Yeah.
It's just, now you got to add in the sprinkle of intimacy in there. Okay, well, it's like, what is intimacy? Is it holding hands? Because if so, it's like, I can love you and hold your hand, and I can also not love this person and hold their hand. Right? So the intimacy's got nothing to do with love. Or I could love you and hold your hand and love them and hold their hand. And I don't see why anything would be wrong with that, right? So what's considered intimacy? If it's not holding hands, okay, is it hugging? Is it kissing on the cheek? Is it kissing on the lips? Because in some cultures, you kiss your mom on the lips. That's not intimate. You just kiss your mom on the lips. So there's so much to look into there. I think it's a very personal choice, but I also don't think one is better than the other. I see very successful monogamous relationships, and I see all the pros to that. And I see a lot of crappy monogamous relationships, and I see a lot of the cons to that. And same thing with open relationships. There's a lot of cons, like a lot of cons.
I know. I wonder if sometimes people ever just go at it in these open relationships. Like, some people must just it must happen where they just get filled with like fits of jealousy or rage. Like, things must happen sometimes, or I don't know.
Totally, they do. But they also happen in monogamous relationships.
True. Yeah, very true.
It's going to happen either way.
Yeah. And I don't think people should judge. I think if people are in an open relationship and they both agree with that and they want to do that, great. And if they want to do a monogamy, then great. You know, everybody's got to do them and do what works for them.
And you can start monogamous and go open, and you can start open and become monogamous. Like, you just have to have a lot of communication with the person that you're with. But yeah, everyone's different. Every relationship's different, and go through phases. There's different times in your life when
exactly
things may make more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's great. Thanks for answering that. It was interesting. And I'd love to get into the viewers' questions. My viewers have so many great questions for you. So let me just check. Yeah, you're okay for time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Duncan Hurd wants to know, he said, I'd like to hear about Ted's daily routine. We've already talked about that a little bit, and he said, and how to incorporate this diet, no matter your schedule or responsibilities. I know a lot of people struggle with that. They have like kids, super busy lifestyles, and they're like, this diet is a full-time job. So what do you think about that?
Duncan. All you got to do to make this diet work is find 4 or 5 of your favorite meals. For me right now, it's like a smoothie is one of my favorite meals. A salad with guacamole on top is one of my favorite meals. Air fried sprouted tofu dipped in guacamole is one of my favorite meals, right? Like, simple stuff. Just a big bowl of cut up fruit is like one of my favorite things. Like this, I have some cut up strawberries upstairs right now waiting for me. I'm super excited. So find 4 or 5 of your favorite meals, and then get good at making them quickly. So then you wake up in the morning, you make the food, and you're done. I don't know how people would want to complicate it more than that, especially a fruitarian diet when there's no cooking involved. You literally just grab the food and cut it, or grab the food and don't even cut it and just eat it as it is. Like, how are people complicating this diet? It still boggles my mind. That's why I got out of teaching so much about the raw food success system, is because it's so simple. Like, almost like the more I teach it, the more complicated it becomes. You literally grab the fruit and you eat it. It couldn't be more simple. Sure, there are some tips and tricks. Like, if you want to blend your smoothie, you probably don't want to oxidize, right? Because that tastes gross after. So get a vacuum blender. That's what I use now. I
saw that in your story on Instagram. I have to get one of those still.
You have to get one. Yeah. So you vacuum blend your smoothie and you bring it with you, and there you are. 1,200 calories in a jar. You know? So
absolutely. And I agree with you. It's so simple, especially fruitarian. Like, you're not really even preparing many gourmet meals or anything. You're just grabbing the fruit and going. There's no easier diet than that, in my opinion.
Yeah. And the cleanup, what cleanup? Like,
yeah.
Like, I was eating an apple from the farmer's market the other day, and I ate the whole thing, including the seeds. All I had left was a little stem.
Yeah. Yeah, you know? Exactly.
That
wow.
was it.
Yeah.
And in certain cases, like you eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like a kiwi, for example, just eat the whole kiwi with the skin on and everything.
Yeah, that's one thing. I've never eaten the skin on the kiwi, but I know a lot of people do. I'll have to try. Okay, so Jane Osborne said, Ted, I'm interested to hear your views on eating raw fermented foods like kimchi. We all know the benefits to the gut, but are you aware of any disadvantages? It sometimes feels unnatural to me to eat foods that have already broken down so much.
Cool question. Jane, I don't eat foods for benefits. I eat foods just because I want to eat them. Supplements is a different story. I'll supplement vitamin D for this benefit, or supplement cordyceps mushroom for the supplement, or whatever. You might see kimchi or fermented stuff as a supplement, but if you don't like it, you don't need it. If you don't like it, you don't need it. Let that be your rule.
Good rule. Okay, B-Boy Style says, does Ted occasionally eat veggies? We already talked about that a bit, I think. And what are some of his favorite recipes? And does he have any tips or tricks to staying on the lifestyle?
You're gonna have to repeat those questions because I think
no worries.
The first answer is yes, I eat veggies, but pretty much only celery and leafy greens, unless cooked. So if I'm cooking something, then I'll cook up some broccoli or something, or cauliflower, whatever, but very rare. I mean, I don't know if you consider a yam or sweet potato a vegetable, because in that case, I'll have those as well from time to time. And I'm open to veggie juices. If someone makes me a juice, I will pretty much have anything in the juice except beets. I'm not a huge fan of beets. Beets don't sit well with me. But other than that, yeah, I'll have veggies. I just think they're better off cooked, and they're better off juiced than they are consumed raw, unless it's celery. I freaking love celery and leafy greens. So I can eat those all day. What was the other question?
Yeah, they asked if you have do you have a couple favorite recipes?
Blended mango.
Wow, just blended mango, just the mango?
Yeah, it's amazing. If you got good mango.
Wow, I've never done blended mango. No, not just on its own. Good. Yeah,
just blended mango. But I mean, to make it really good, one of my favorite recipes of all time is blended mango with dates and basil. So mango, date, basil as the sauce, and you pour that over peeled zucchini noodles.
Interesting.
Zucchini noodle pasta with mango de basil sauce. The alternative to that is instead of using mango de basil, you do persimmon date basil.
That sounds good.
Is the sauce of your zucchini.
That sounds good. And they asked, do you have any tips or tricks to staying on the lifestyle?
Yeah, you got to stay inspired. Like every meal I would eat, I'd watch interviews of Dan the Man, Fully Christina, so-and-so. Just like I'd watch all these interviews, Dr. Doug Graham, Durian Rider, Freely. Like I would just watch all these videos. And we're talking 10 years ago. So you got to stay inspired. And when you continuously listen to wise people, or even people who have more experience than you, their thoughts become your thoughts. After all, you don't even know like if it's your thought or if it's their thought. So you start saying stuff and acting in certain ways that would closely resemble the people you're watching. You'd be like, oh, I could see so-and-so saying that. And I could see so-and-so doing this. You start acting like them. Monkey see, monkey do. So if you want to succeed, soak up people who are succeeding. This works in business. This works in relationships. This works in diet. This works in fitness. You just soak it up. When I was trained to become a professional triathlete, I watched pro triathletes all day long. I watched interviews all day long. When I trained, I was training like them. When I raced, I was racing like them. When I won the race, I was winning like them. Like I was just embodying them. Same goes with diet.
Exactly. Good point. Okay. So Sam Makes It Simple says, do you have any thoughts on intermittent fasting and what timing windows to do that?
Yeah, you got to play around with it. See what works for you. I don't like the idea of you having to go through like a crazy transitional period and like feeling hungry and wanting to eat, but not wanting to eat, but not, and like really like holding yourself back. I really think it should feel natural. Like if you wake up in the morning and you're not hungry, don't eat. And you really you should be able to get all your calories in between 11 and 4 p.m. Like you have 5 hours to eat all the food you want. That's plenty of time. So personally for me, it's about that. I'll typically start eating around 11, typically stop eating around 3:34. But every now and then I go till 5 or whatever. Every now and then I start a little earlier, like 10 or even 9 a.m. sometimes. I don't really care anymore. I just don't like eating first thing in the morning. I feel way better when I don't eat first thing in the morning. And I don't want to eat late at night. I feel way better when I don't eat late at night.
Mm-hmm.
I sleep better too. So
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
I don't know if that what the question was, but
The window. Yeah, you answered it. And then the same viewer said, do you have food groups in mind as you build your meals for the day?
I don't even know what that is. No, I just
Yeah.
eat whatever I want. And it's very simple.
And they're wondering, how is your spiritual life? So spiritual life and how his physical, social life. So spiritual, physical, and social life and focus, how they're altered when you eat raw versus cooked. So physically, spiritually, mentally, socially, how it's different when you're raw versus cooked.
When I'm raw, physically, I'm lighter. I poop more. I pee more. Clear-minded. I have more energy.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect digestion, like no gas. Everything is perfect on raw. Well, specifically fruit-based. Everything's perfect. And then you start incorporating cooked food, and it's just immediately you can start noticing side effects, or I should say direct effects of the cooked food. So a bit heavier, a bit more sluggish, poor digestion, a bit foggier, a bit more tired. It's immediate. And there's a huge difference between being 100% raw and being like 90% raw. Huge difference. And even that little bit of cooked food, it just, for me, it saps that raw vitality. So that's the thing physically. Spiritually, I'm not really sure how to answer that. But with a clearer mind, it's kind of easier to just be in Zen state.
Absolutely.
What was the other one?
No, that was it. And your focus. Did we talk about, the focus? No, you answered everything, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, so Lucinda Love said, Ted, what is the funniest and lamest thing people have said to you about your food choices?
Funniest and lamest. That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a funny question.
No, I think I remember this. I was getting made fun of at work one day, and they said, and this is when I had I came to work with so much. This was new to raw. I came to work with like red peppers and sprouts and bananas and avocados and melons. I like a smorgasbord. I had a buffet of all this raw food I was eating. It was kind of like a flex, be like, look at all this, right? You had pineapple juice and everything. And I was very proud of my extremely healthy diet, and I was flaunting it, and kind of backfired on me in a funny way, I guess, because people thought I was super weird. And then this chick's like, you're probably gonna die of malnourishment if you keep eating that way. I was like, malnourishment?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, where are you getting your nutrients? And I looked at all these colors in front of me. Are you tripping out? What do you mean we're getting nutrients? Name a nutrient that's not present here that my body doesn't already produce.
Yeah.
So if it's cholesterol you think I'm missing, my body produces it. If it's vitamin this or vitamin that you think I'm missing, my body produces it. There's nothing missing.
Yeah.
Name one. I will give you $1,000 if you can name one that I need, that my body doesn't already produce or isn't already present amongst these foods.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
That was a pretty funny one. Thinking I'll die of malnourishment while I'm showing her the rainbow of nutrients.
Yeah. Okay. So Ashley said, I've tried being raw a few times, but I always get terrible headaches. How can I overcome this? I'm surprised by this because I feel like most people, it solves the headache problem.
Yeah.
Only thing maybe they're eating too many fats. What do you think?
Well, there could have been something, like I said, the body heals itself, right? And there could have been something that has been wanting to be healed for a while, but it's been suppressed because of all this cooked food. So finally, you remove the cooked food, the body goes through a healing, quote unquote, crisis. And one of the symptoms, side effects, is a headache. Could be that. Alternatively, I've heard that if you're experiencing headaches, it could just be because you're constipated. So maybe an enema would help. I'm not sure how much you're going. Number two, because people can go raw, right? And then they can also be like in a really tight emotional state because of a relationship issue or something internally happening. So they're not letting go, they're not releasing. And so when they're clogged up, they can get headaches. It's like kind of like when you clench your fist and go, you start to feel a headache. Like I can bring a headache on in the next 2 minutes if I want. No problem. You can too. You just got to go, right?
Really? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. You just got to get really tight. And
yeah.
It's not healthy, but you can do it.
True, but great
So,
points.
so
Yeah.
maybe she's doing that. I don't know. But alternatively, people say, oh, you're probably not hydrated. So I don't know. I just too general of a question for me to be able to answer.
Yeah, but I think you did a great job answering that. Sanjay said, I had started raw vegan 80% the last 2 years. Recently, I started with fully raw since the last 30 days. It is feeling very good, getting much better sleep. Sometimes there is a low feeling though. How should I continue so that I can remain raw for long periods? I guess they just mean like, do you have any tips for how to stay raw for like a long period of time? Because they were
You
able to
have
do
to have a
80%.
reason. You have to have
Yeah.
a reason to stay raw. Like the reason I quit raw was because I no longer had the reason that I had when I was raw.
Mm-hmm.
And my reason for going raw was getting rid of my acne. Okay. Once the acne went away, I no longer had the reason to be raw anymore, but I still stayed raw because I was really heavily invested in triathlon. That was my life. I wanted to race pro. So being light, feeling energetic, having crazy endurance was a huge benefit. So why would I give that up? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't. I stayed raw for all those years training for triathlon. And it wasn't until I got into wanting to lift weights and build some muscle and live back in Canada that I decided I'm going to incorporate some cooked foods again because I no longer need that benefit of raw, of having the crazy endurance. So to me, diet is just a tool. You use it for something. So it's not like if I give you a hammer, you don't ask, how do I hold the hammer for longer? You just
Mm-hmm.
use the hammer for what you're trying to do. When you stop
Mm-hmm.
building a house, you don't keep holding the hammer. But if you're a carpenter and all you do is build houses all day, then sure, you probably need a hammer in your waist side at all times, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't just hold on to the diet for the sake of holding on. You use it for something. What are you trying to do? Run a marathon, live forever. What? Pick your goal and use the diet to help you accomplish that.
Mm-hmm. I think goals are really important. Well, you kind of just answered the next question, I think, because she said, why did you stop the fruitarian diet at some point? But you kind of just answered that. And then this next viewer said, F3S says, I'm struggling and getting fully raw. Every time I reach the mark of about 95%, I get trouble with my legs. They get so painful. It is like these micro cramps that cover parts of my legs. And sometimes it's their whole leg, they said, but they already tried supplementing magnesium. They said it doesn't work. Do you have any ideas where these leg pains could be coming from? Dr. Ted, let's go.
I'm definitely not qualified to answer this. And this is an interesting moment right now because a lot of people, they know a lot about veganism and raw foods.
Yeah.
And they're afraid to teach everything they know in case something like this happens.
Mm-hmm.
What if somebody asks me a question that I don't know the answer to? This is a great moment right now. I've been teaching how to eat raw food for over 10 years. When a question like this comes up, I say, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And that's good.
Know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my advice would probably be to keep asking that question to people. That would be until you find an answer. And just keep trying stuff. Don't give up. Maybe it's maybe you need to get into a certain yoga pose, like a deep squat more often and like open something up in your hip. Maybe it's something physical, or maybe it is some sort of supplement that or mineral that you need. I don't know, but keep trying. Don't give up. And truly, like, the way you're going to find the solution is just by holding the vision of it already being solved. You just got to start acting and going through life as if it's already solved.
Exactly. I think that's the key. I believe in all that too. 100%.
Feel what it would feel like if the leg pain was gone.
Great. Yeah. Renee said, do you do cold water swimming? And how do you eat to prepare for strenuous workouts? Which I think is a great question.
Yes, I do cold water swimming. And how do I eat to prepare for strenuous workouts?
Yeah.
Light.
Wow. Yeah. And then after you have a big meal, after the strenuous workout?
Yeah. When the appetite comes in.
Yeah.
After strenuous workout, you probably feel like vomiting. So if it's strenuous enough, you feel like you don't want to eat, you're exhausted. Or you feel like puking. That's why I keep it light ahead of time.
And like when you've been 100% fruitarian, you've still maintained strenuous workouts throughout those time periods, right? Because I know a lot of people
I trained full-time as a personal triathlete, 40 hours a week. I raced pro, all on fruit.
And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. Once they start cycling or heavy working out in the gym, so many raw vegans go back to some cooked food because they're just like, I need more calories. I need more food. It's not enough for me. So you feel like you can manage that in those those times on raw?
Yeah. If I was to go back to racing triathlon, swimming, biking, and running 40 hours a week right now, there's no way I'd eat cooked food. It would all be fruit.
Yeah, it gives you so much more energy to go. Yeah.
Cooked food it weighs you down. It can be helpful for lifting weights and strength training for sure. But if I'm doing cardio, I want all fruit.
And are there any specific like fruits or meals that you think help for people that are working out like that?
Juicy.
80-10-10.
Check out the 80-10-10 diet. Great book for athletes.
Okay. And Zinda, sorry, go ahead.
If you're going to lift heavy weights, then you probably 80-10-10 is probably not the best. I think 80-10-10 is great for endurance. I think if you're trying to lift some weights, then you probably will naturally feel like eating a bit higher fat or higher protein.
Okay. And Zinda Reese said, please ask him about his sleep, skin, and eyes. Are there any issues? No. Okay. And okay, the last viewer, I don't know if you're going to want to talk about this. If not, we can cut it out or whatever. They said that I didn't realize you had videos talking about polyamory, right? So I watched a couple, and I mean, I'm supportive, whatever you want to do. I think that's great. But so she was saying you want to travel the world and have a bunch of babies with a bunch of women like Nick Cannon. So she was wondering where you still stand on this.
I don't ever remember saying that. If I did,
maybe you didn't. Maybe they just, maybe some people think things a certain way and maybe I don't know.
I don't even know who Nick Cannon is. So
I don't know much about Nick Cannon. I think he was married to Mariah Carey and there's some scandal right now because I don't follow it, but he has babies with a bunch of people. So I think they're trying to say, is that sort of something you see in your future? Maybe having babies with like 8 different women? No,
but I'm open to donating sperm for women who want healthy sperm. That's always been mine. So this is if anyone want healthy sperm, I'll be happy to donate. I just make sure to sign some legal papers to be like, this your child who will kind of look like me.
Yeah. And as a guy, like you wouldn't feel weird not being there all the time, like around the baby?
No, I'm donating the baby. I'm donating the sperm.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
It'd be cool to see pictures or videos from now in time. Like, but I don't think I would feel super connected to a child I've never met.
Well, maybe you might. You never know. If you were the father.
Let's see. Who wants to do an experiment? Who wants the donation?
Are there any babies out there? You think you have children out there or no?
No, I don't have. Not that I know of. Not that I know of. No.
Yeah.
Not that I don't even think. No, it's not that I know. I don't even think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great. That's the end of the viewers' questions. Maybe to end off, do you have any inspiration or words of advice from somebody who might be struggling with their health and they want to be more raw, they want to be fruitarian, and they just have these mental blocks holding them back and they want to do it, but they think it's just so hard and they want to feel better, but they're stuck?
So many ways I could go with that answer. The one thing I'm feeling called to say is just like, if your environment is not supportive, it's going to be very hard to succeed. You can, but it's very hard. If you optimize your environment, you're going to succeed. That's why every single person who comes to the Woodstock Fruit Festival in New York every year, they're like, that was the easiest week of raw in my life. Well, I wonder why. Because you're surrounded by 500 other people eating raw. You're being served raw all day long. You can't really fail. So yeah, I mean, optimize your environment. That would be the advice there.
And what do you think about people who say we are a combination of the 5 people we hang out with, like the 5 closest people? Do you think there's truth to that?
100%. But nowadays I don't hang out with anyone. I watch everyone online. So I'm becoming like the people I watch online. So I think that's important as well. Just and in the books you read, you become like the books you read and the YouTube videos you watch, interviews you watch. So yeah. So
true. Great points. And where can everybody find you who doesn't already follow you?
They can go to tedcarclass.com if they want to learn how to do what I do. Tedcarclass.com is probably the best bet.
And you help vegans start businesses. And you say somebody wants your help with coaching or starting a business, but they're not vegan right now. Would you still be willing to help them as well?
Maybe, but I primarily specialize in the vegan niche.
That's great. Okay, well, thanks so much thanks so much, Ted. This has been great, and you've really offered like so much information and wisdom to our viewers today, and I've enjoyed having you on.
Cool. Thanks so much. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks
And
so much.
I look forward to distributing the replay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope you guys, the viewers, enjoyed this as well. I hope it added some value to your day. If it did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Peace.